Do you need the questions?
No, it's good. Thanks for letting us use your house. I really appreciate
Oh,
it,
man, it's easy. Why not?
Yeah. So I guess I'll be the introduction, but
Sure.
this idea is something that Vian really wanted to do, right? He really wanted to get to know La Huicheng. He wanted to make this podcast pretty much for the Huicheng. That's why we kind of name it HT Show.
Right, the HT show. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you tell me when I call you? I remember calling you on the way home. You know me.
Yeah.
You know how guys are. We only like to talk when we're driving.
Right.
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 So
It's
normally,
awkward otherwise.
yeah, exactly. It's awkward because if we're like talking on the phone and we're standing at home, it's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
But it's always one of us is driving and one of us isn't. Right. So I was driving, so I had the power in that one. So I call you because you were just mentioning something.
Yes. So I had just messaged you.
Yeah.
I just messaged you and said, hey. So this is something I've been thinking about for a while, right?
Yeah.
And I think I've told you this. We talked about it here and there, but so the other week I messaged you. I was like, "Hey, do you have any other investments besides real estate? Because I know you do some real estate stuff."
Yeah.
And then I went on, "Hey, how do you feel about talking about some more of this kind of financial stuff with some of our Hunchengs?"
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of them don't know much of anything about financials.
Because I don't know. I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to remind the audience that. We're relatively pretty old for Huicheng. I'm even older than Vian, right? So that is very old, right? I'm not going to say my age, but Vian is a lot younger than me, but we're older than most. Yes. I think normally...
I think within our Don alone, we're the oldest. We're two of the oldest in our Don right now.
Yeah.
Right? Actively.
Yeah. So when you're hearing this kind of stuff that we hear all the time... It's like, whoa, I didn't even think about that that's what they're going through. Yeah. So
most of them are students, right? Most of our Hunchengs are students.
Yeah.
And... knowing what we know now, I'm sure we would have loved to know that back then, right? 10, 15 years ago.
Exactly.
How much that would have helped us go through our life in the last 10 year, decade or so, right?
I know.
We would have been rich or something.
Exactly. The problem with getting older is you have all of these you want to share, but you don't want to sound like that guy who's like, listen to me, right? You want people to reach out to you first. Because you can tell sometimes when you're giving advice to people, they can glaze out.
Yeah.
I found that giving advice to people is one of the toughest things.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right?
Half the time they don't listen, or the other half they don't follow.
Yeah, you can tell facial features. Yeah, and very obviously too phones, because our generation is all about phones, right? And if you give advice to someone younger, if they take out their phone, it's like right in your face, right in your face. That means they're not interested. Yeah, they're not interested. Yep. Right. So that really throws me off too.
I think another part.
Yeah, continue. Yes. Yeah. So you were at dinner.
So I was at a while back. I was not too long ago actually.
Yeah.
I was having dinner or lunch or something like that. Before a team event, before we were doing something. I was with a few other 3 younger Hunchengs, and somehow we got talking about some financial stuff, finances. Yeah. And they mentioned to me that they don't know anything. They try, but they don't know anything about anything really.
Yeah.
And that really hit me. It's like I want to help them.
And one of them just had a kid. Is this Huicheng I'm thinking about?
No,
it's someone else. Okay. Because it's even worse if you have kids.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, right. Especially if you have kids. I mean, if you have kids and you're in a situation where you have no idea what's going on, then that's
exactly.
What
you get a mortgage and everything, and you're pretty much done. You're stuck.
Yeah.
Right. So after the dinner.
So
you thought about it again.
Yep, I thought about it again. Yep. I think literally the next day. That's when I messaged Jung Kian and and he as he was driving, he just he doesn't want to text. He doesn't text and drive. That's dangerous.
Yeah, you got it.
So
Good luck.
He calls me.
Good thing you have that on recording. Yeah. Good. I don't want to get arrested because it's illegal to text and drive in Washington, right?
So he calls me right away, and then we just hit it off. We just start talking about what our ideas are for this kind of podcast or we didn't even know it was me podcast actually. Yeah. We just talked about bouncing ideas off each other and see what might work. Yeah. Because I know we wanted to maybe have a class. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I was like, wait, this is a Huicheng giving a class finance? Yeah. That's not part of the curriculum. Sense. We don't want to get sued by God or Linda. Right? Someone will get in trouble by somebody.
Yeah, we don't want to get in trouble with anybody. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And we found like this is to be a good compromise. To be honest, this is a good compromise because Vian loves to talk about finance. And for me, I know you didn't ask, but I'll say anyway, which is, you know me relatively well, but I have to say that I don't have when it comes to social stuff, I have a completely out there. I only have 2 juxtaposition kind of personality, right? Yeah. I have one that's like, I don't want to talk to anybody. Done. Right. And I have one that's like, I'll talk to everyone.
Right.
And I turn on and off. I switch between the two. Right. So I really don't know anyone because I switch between the two so much. I really try to stay on the, I don't need to know anyone because of the kids and family and so I really very introverted.
Right.
When I need to, I'll switch on the extrovert. But I never have a middle ground. I never have a time where I'm just sitting down, just chilling.
Yeah, just talking
drinking Coke, small Coke. We're actually normal sized humans.
Yeah.
These are just small.
I had to reduce it down. Over time, I can't finish a whole big one, the regular size one anymore. I have to go to Coke.
Yeah, but I don't have any instance where I can just talk and get to know someone. So for him, it's about finance. For John Vian, it's about finance. And for me, John Kian, it's about actually getting to know people, right? Because I'm not sure you see during recess, it's like I play sports, but I really don't stand around and talk to each other.
Yeah.
Because it's just a different age group for me. Yeah. Right? I don't have the same issue.
I think there's positive ups and downs of both of those. We can see you out there every Sunday playing with the kids, and that's great. And to be honest, every year we try to encourage that with our Hunjungs. But it doesn't always follow through because Hunjungs, they see each other like once a week or so, and they like to hang out and talk to each other, whatnot. Understandable.
And that kind of goes with what we're about to talk about, because John Vian wants us, I think pretty much all grandchildren wants us to encourage you to talk to the kids more. And it's difficult sometimes to speak to the kids, especially with the age group that you teach. So I don't want to jump around too much, but since it's such a good flow into it, you want to tell us kind of what kind of ngang, which are ngang that you teach, and how you got there. Was it always that ngang, or did you start out with someone else and you're like, no, I'm not doing this?
Well, first of all, I'm not a Dongchung. You mentioned earlier.
Oh Dongchung. But I'm just saying Dongchung said. Sorry.
At one point I was, but that was a while ago. So Tunyi journey began just like you. We all started. I started asking him too when THD Teresa had me to start in Tacoma.
You started as Ngang Teo, so you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
I thought you started as an Onyi. See, I know nothing about this guy.
I started in 2002 when Tacoma started.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been there since the beginning.
How did you get in? Was it, I assume it's parents.
Yeah, well, of course, it's always the parents. Okay. When you're a kid, you don't have a choice, right?
Yeah, you don't have a choice.
My friends saw that there was this group that's starting up, and they were like, hey, basically you go join,
Yeah, pretty much.
And long story short, a few years later, went through Tunyi, went through Yesei. I didn't have Hipsi. I went from Yesei to Hipsi Juntan, I believe. During that transition period between Yujung and stuff like that.
Was there a ngang that you liked the most, or
being a student? I actually like Yesei. It was really fun.
You really? Is it because of why? The friends? I assume. I assume it's friends. It's gotta be the friends.
Sure, for sure. I actually had wonderful Hunjungs back then too.
Okay.
And definitely the friends. I still keep in touch with a lot. Some of them. Some of them, actually, one of them are still my good friends to this day. Jung Taman.
Of course. Yeah. You guys hang out a lot. Yeah.
And then as you progress, as you age up, back then, around that time, they were Zhongwen was getting rid of Yujung. They were transitioning.
I remember. No more pink, right?
No more pink, right?
The pink was hot. Every time you go to camp,
I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it.
Every time you go to camp, the red would try to hit on the pinks, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's what
And so after Hipsi, I went to Hipsi Juntan, went to the camp, all that camp stuff. I went to the Hunjung camp, became a Hunjung Kamau. In that first year, I taught Aoyi.
Seems like we tend to start out. I did too.
I think almost everyone starts there somewhere. I think it is a good age. It is hard, but it's also a good age to start with.
And I think because you're younger, so you want to start with someone a lot younger. You don't want to start someone that is kind of almost your age.
Right. Yeah. I know a lot of Hunjungs who just became Hunjung who wants to teach that Hipsi age, right? But it's might not be appropriate sometimes, or might not have that experience to do that. So Aoyi is a good place to start. At least, even Aoyi, Tunyi, so I studied there for a year or so, year or two or something like that. I don't remember how long. It's been a while. It's been 20+ years since I've been Hunjung.
He's still young though. He still looks very young. We have good lighting too. Maybe he looks younger than he is.
Actually, I should have shaved too.
No. You look mature. Very mature.
Right? And then, I know what I'm talking about, right?
Very wise.
And then progressing into, eventually I taught MSA for a while. I was teaching.
Was that Hipsi back then or no?
I think there was. There was,
but
I really don't remember.
You are getting old. Yep. You should be wearing that mustache.
So yeah, taught Ngan for a while.
Yeah.
And then, so the only one Ngan that I did not teach was Ngan Thieu. And then eventually I went up to Ngan Hip Si as well. Taught Hip Si for a couple years.
Do you mind me asking? I don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you skipped Thieu? Because I know my reason.
Yeah, there wasn't a reason. It's just that just at the time, no, they just placed me into whatever.
Oh,
that was my choice for preference.
Just some quick blurb.
Yeah,
I think Ngan Thieu is the toughest Ngan.
It is
very difficult.
Yeah,
but go ahead. Sorry,
no,
for
I
interrupting.
totally agree.
Yeah,
and then after that, I started getting into these roles of more like
leadership
roles.
Oh,
right?
leadership
like,
roles.
Fan Yin Hun, and then Dong Jung, and then after that, or around that time, I started teaching Hip Si Chung Tan because there was no one else at the time to teach it. So passing on that knowledge to the next generation.
So you had a few years in before you.
Yes, of course. Yeah. So I became Hun Jung in 07, I believe. I went to camp in 06. I just don't remember when I turned up. 06 or 07. I think it's 07. Yeah. And so I didn't teach Hip Si Chung Tan until maybe 20. After I went to 2013, 14-ish.
Yeah, no, that's a long time. Yeah, good experience. And you're a little bit older and wiser too, for sure.
Hopefully. I mean, by then I was still like mid-20s maybe.
Do you remember any of the mid-20s? Still very young, but still very wise, right? So even wiser now. Do you remember any of the kids that you taught back then? Is this some of the kids that I know? Or?
Oh yeah, I'm sure there is. It's been a moment.
Oh, you know,
I don't know. Yeah, but it's been a moment.
I know you didn't teach my wife. I know that my wife was older, right?
Me and his wife was we were in SE together. Before she left, right?
Before she stopped,
coming.
She said you were the reason why she left. So
I'm just kidding. That makes sense.
She's a horrible leader. No, I'm just kidding.
Right?
Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah. And then, what is it? Teaching Hip Si Chung Tan for a few years. And then after my Dong Jung term ended, I actually stopped teaching for a while. I was always there to support and do whatever we needed.
So you were teaching older kids and you were Dong Jung too?
Yes, at the time, yeah.
Was that tough?
It was tough because sometimes I had to get called out during class to take care of something in the middle of class. So after a while, I realized we can't do that. So nowadays, a lot of our Dong Jung and Fan Yin Hun stuff, they don't teach a class specifically because they have to deal with stuff all the time.
Yeah. You gotta manage. It's a management role.
Right. And some dongs are not. So we're a little fortunate, but some dongs are not as fortunate to have as many Hun Jungs to be able to do that.
It's kind of where you say that because we always think we don't have enough Hun Jung.
Yeah.
Right. But apparently, that's even worse.
Oh yeah. We're very fortunate.
Worse off.
Yeah. We're very fortunate.
So you were teaching that specific group. You were Dong Jung.
Right.
You were doing things. So I know that you really enjoy, when you were a student, that you really enjoy being Yisi. Probably because my wife is there. You guys have fun. You guys have a good group going. Yeah. But then once you were Huing Jung, what was the group that you enjoyed teaching the most? Because this is a flippity-flop. You're not in the other side anymore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So...
I had a really good co-teacher with me, another Hun Jung who's teaching me Ngan Hip Si.
Is it a Hun Jung I know now?
Maybe, but she's not active anymore.
Oh, I see.
But you might know her.
Yeah.
That was Jung Tao.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
She was really good. Yeah, she's actually a teacher now.
That's cool.
Yeah, she teaches in the public education system.
That's cool that she moved on to that.
Yeah. We were really good together teaching Hip Si. They were much older groups, so they asked a lot of questions that you don't expect, and they follow up with you on a lot of things. You have to know your stuff. You have to do your research. You have to know your stuff. Otherwise, they'll ask you stuff that you don't know, and you're gonna look like what the heck?
You're gonna look like a fool. It's not like an Onyi where you can throw a distraction around, right? Or Onyi where they don't really care in the first place. Yeah. But these kids, they'll be like, well, this guy doesn't know anything.
The hard part is, Jumong hasn't always had a great curriculum for Hip Si either.
Yeah.
The and they have guidelines for that easily. But for Hip Si, since it's a fairly newer, when I say fairly, it's newer.
Yeah, for sure. Compared to the other.
So there's not as much of a guideline for that. So we kind of had to make up things and go with it back then.
It's been getting a little bit better, right?
Yeah. And then I haven't taught that in a while, but yes, I hope so.
So just so you guys know, and you guys, most of you do, that, there's Hip Si and there's Hip Si Chung Tan. I know Audran kind of does it a little separate, right?
Which it should be.
And why do you think that we do that? Because I know some don't. I teach Hip Si, right? So the kids range I teach them, and then it goes up to to Vienna to do Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành.
Right. So I taught Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành again for the last. So there was a time there's a period of time when I took a break from teaching, and then I just came back last year and started teaching Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành again.
Yeah.
Just last year. So then this year is my second year.
And that, I don't want to interrupt, but that seems to be the secret of Thiếu Nhi, to be honest.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, I always think Thiếu Nhi is a second family. So you can take breaks, right?
Absolutely.
You can go back.
Absolutely.
You know, it's better.
Make sure you come back.
Exactly. People get burnt out. You get burnt out on anything.
Of course.
You know, it can be like you dating. You get burnt out on dating, right? It can be the coolest thing, right?
Or marriage,
every time.
Oh, shit. I'm gonna say that.
We gotta talk about that later. About how we have something potentially similar now.
Yeah.
But you get burnt out on anything, and it's good to make a change and take a break. And once you come back, you're completely new. So you took a break.
Yeah. I came back and then taught for the last 2 years. And you know, for us, with our Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành program at our dorm, it's very specific. I mean, we teach them to get them ready for Huấn Trưởng Cấp 1 camp, right? Where some dorms who don't have the opportunity, they just send the kids right away. They join me, or they just go off from Nghĩa Sĩ or Hiệp sĩ and then go to camp right away. They have no idea what's going on.
Exactly.
You know, they're kind of lost at those camps.
Because I'm supposed to teach them, but I'm not really getting them ready, right?
Yeah, right.
So he's the guy that checks, make sure everything is working
Luckily,
fine. So thank you, Jim.
Our schedule worked out well because we have, you know, how we do with the April through, you know, Easter through Christmas schedule, where every other dorm use the Xuân Học schedule, right?
Yeah.
September through June. For us, it gives me about 5-6 months or whatever it is time to prepare them for a Huấn Trưởng camp here in Washington, which is usually around Labor Day weekend, September. So I have all that time between April and September to get them ready.
Yeah.
It's worked out well for us.
Okay, so it works out perfectly then. Okay. Nice. So you truly love to teach this generation, for sure. Do you have any tricks to teach this generation? Because I have a lot of difficulties, you know. Have you noticed any difficulties? And if you do, I mean, have you had a chance to find a resolution to those, if there is any, right? Because
I think luckily I'm teaching Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành, which is, to be honest, I would say it's a little easier than teaching the younger kids. Because I have a more direct curriculum. I have more defined curriculum. Sorry. Not that Jung is giving one. I just go off of what I need. I think they need to know for Huấn Trưởng camp. You know, and which is a bunch of stuff, and also preparing.
So it's pretty much a book. It's just pretty much a book that you Huấn Trưởng gets when they go to camp.
More or less, and then I took lessons from that, right? And some stuff will be covered at camp, of course, but then I also cover them in my own class. I will try to, and then sometimes I bring in some Huấn luyện viên to teach guest teach some of my sessions.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I'm not the greatest at most of the topics, right? So I bring in people who are or who know.
Speaking of that, this guy can network. Jung Viên can network.
And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that down the line in some other episode.
This guy knows how to do it. So you follow that curriculum. You just follow it through. And pretty much it's set. And you have probably something pretty good going on right now.
So I can, like last year, last year was my first time come back. So I actually just rewrote the whole thing last year. And this year I just refined it a little bit more to do it again. And next year, hopefully, or whoever, if someone else takes over, I'll just pass it to them. Right?
So probably in the beginning though, it's difficult. But once you got it down pat, just like with anything. You got a system down.
But like I said, because they're older and they're there because they want to be there. They want to be Huấn Trưởng, not because someone's forcing them to.
Right.
They're 18. They're over 18.
You're right. Because it's a filter now. It's a filter because pretty much when you think about it, Thiếu Nhi is pretty much a filter from all the gangs going up, right? You got a bunch of Onyis, you filter those out. I mean, you know, they're still good and going. It's not like we get rid of them, right? You leave for some reason. Thiếu Nhi, you know, once you get Thiếu Nhi, then you get sarcastic and you really get, you don't really listen anymore, right? And then those definitely filter out. You go up Nghĩa Sĩ and you develop friendship, things like that, but sometimes you don't get along with the group anymore, right? And you filter those out. Hiệp sĩ, I don't really know, even though I teach Hiệp sĩ, right? And you filter out, honestly, it's kind of like it filters up. And then you filter out all the people that don't. So if you don't have a lot of Hiệp sĩ trưởng thành is pretty much, but I'm not Đoàn Trường, thank goodness, right? But it's pretty much our fault. You know, Đoàn Trường.
No, it's no one's fault there. We do our best to move them along and then get them through the ends, right? But I mean, so that's been kind of like my journey, and that's where we are now.
So you have no major difficulties.
Well, I mean,
there's some, right?
Yeah, here and there.
But nothing that stands out anymore.
Actually, what's funny, personally, one of my difficulties is speaking Vietnamese.
Oh,
right?
very,
And this not only applies to Hijun Tan, but it applies to all of them.
Yeah.
If you there are some students who just came to America maybe, or their English isn't so great yet.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to do dual language a lot of times.
It's difficult. Yeah.
It's difficult, and that's where I need to do a better job of learning more Vietnamese.
It's me the same. And then
most of our
I have 2 kids.
nowadays.
It's pretty much all of us, right? Except for there's some, right?
Yeah.
But then to be honest, I mean, if you have a strength in something, you have a weakness in something. I find it rare to find a Huynh Chung who's amazing at Vietnamese.
Yeah.
And amazing at English.
And know the topics like that.
Yeah.
Because like some of the technical terms, you have to know both Vietnamese
exactly.
and
English, right? And when you're talking about like suicidal thoughts, when you're talking about abortion, that kind of stuff is very difficult. They're pretty much medical. I work as a pharmacist. They're pretty much medical term. I'm not going to be able to translate those kind of stuff, right? I mean, we can chat GPT so much before, but you can't. But when you have people in front of you, it's very difficult. I'll tell you, my kids, I have a 6 and I believe they're 6, right? 6 and a 4-year-old, and I'm trying to speak Vietnamese more to them.
So, does your wife or?
So it's funny you say that because they just started Vietnamese class.
Oh, okay.
Right? Vietnamese,
yes.
Long story with that. Something that he cried the first day. But long story short, So always said like, hey, your wife needs to speak more Vietnamese to them because she thinks my wife speaks a lot better Vietnamese than I do, right? But then she's only used to speaking Vietnamese to be comfortable with.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Like conversational almost.
But she only to people she's comfortable with. The family.
Yeah,
right? So she's not used to speaking Vietnamese to me or the kids. So it's very uncomfortable to her. So even though Sir knows that she's better, I just told Sir today that I'm actually the one speaking Vietnamese to them.
Yeah.
Because I'm okay with looking like a fool, like a goof. I understand that when you don't know something, you're gonna look like a goof, right? You're gonna look stupid. It's absolutely. And I think that's also a part of being a man and woman too. As little kids, we kind of tell our boys it's okay to look stupid. It's okay to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Versus girls, it's like you gotta be perfect.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Perfect daughter.
Exactly, right? Mulan, exactly. So we can sing that later. Right. So we got classic. So we got a situation where I'm okay with looking stupid. I got to a point where I'm confident in who I am. Yeah. I'm confident in what I know and don't know. Yeah. I learned this lesson especially when I was renovating an Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
When I was going to say between you and me, but obviously it's not. Yeah. That when you, as a pharmacist, I'm used to people treating me with respect naturally. You go into a meeting, people respect me. I don't have to say it. They just know, pharmacist. Exactly. Doctor. I'm not really a doctor, but people sometimes call me doctor. I laugh inside thinking about that. But you would naturally have it. But when you first do an Airbnb renovation, you have no idea. You're like a baby. Yeah. And then someone is teaching me, right? And that person treats me like a child. So part of me is very tough to swallow your pride in that time, right? But you don't swallow your pride, then no one's going to help you. If you think you know everything, right? No one's going to help you. You think you're going to do perfect. If you're fearful of making mistakes, then you're never going to do anything, right? If I got mad at the person and say, hey, I'm a pharmacist. How dare you speak to me like that? That person would just leave. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think unfortunately that's something as boys we kind of I have 2 boys and I tell them it's okay to make mistakes. Yeah. Right. If I had a girl, I'm not sure.
How much does the wife deal with that at the time?
Yeah, I know, right? Right. But that's what I'm doing with the kids. Yeah. Right. I'm okay with speaking Vietnamese, even though sometimes my wife laughs. Right. But I'm absolutely doing it more. Right. It's very difficult, but it's something we got to do. I was always afraid, of them not knowing English because I speak too much Vietnamese. But then I think if you speak both, then it helps them build their mind. Yeah. Mind anyway. Oh yeah. So
I think there's studies where kids who grow up learning dual languages it's a lot better. They do a lot better. They might be slow at learning one language. Growing up, but afterwards,
it's got to be the brain cells. Yeah. Build the neurons.
They're the best at learning new languages compared to adults. Yeah. For sure.
So this is a problem I have too. I'm not gonna say luckily, but all my kids pretty much this group I have pretty much all speak English. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Next group probably not. Right. So how do you deal with it? Honestly. Yeah. Because something was, and you can honestly, we're working on it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you don't have a perfect answer. Right. But you found anything was
part of the time is that sometimes you have to let them know ahead of time, that hey, I'm gonna try my best. But there may be some terms that I may not know in Vietnamese, or sometimes you're like, hey, if I'm going too fast in English, or you need me to translate something for you, let me know.
Yeah.
I will slow down. I will take a break, and we will do that.
Yeah, and we do it together.
Yeah.
So it's like a co-op,
or
like collab. Yeah.
Or if there's another student in the class who's very knowledgeable in Vietnamese, you can also ask them to help that student too.
That means that you have to be okay with not knowing everything at this generation. Yeah. That's tough.
That's hard.
That's some tough stuff.
Yeah, they
right.
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes, to me, that's a little bit of the secret sauce when it comes to teaching older kids, which is little Onies, even Tilnies, kind of, your knowledge is vastly superior to them, and you're such a uneven power dynamic that it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter what you do, but if you make mistakes or whatever, it doesn't really. They don't really notice it.
Yeah.
You know, they have their own issues.
Oh, yeah, they notice it. Even if they do notice it, they're like, okay, whatever, and then move on. Next
exactly.
Thing, right? They have their own.
But this generation, I think we kind of mentioned in the beginning. You know, even though there's a different power dynamic, they'll notice it, right? So I think the secret sauce for me is I have to be very open. You know. Right. I open out with my own weaknesses and my own fears and my thoughts and stuff like that, and my thoughts about things, you know, kind of difficult things, and then let them treat them like an adult, and they can decide what they think about it, right? So once you're okay with opening yourself up like that, which is difficult sometimes because, especially if you don't have confidence in yourself, I don't want to like toot my own horn, right? But generally, the people, in my opinion, the people who make fun of themselves the most tends to be the one who has the most confidence, right? Which is very weird, right?
That makes sense though, because you're confident enough to, make fun of yourself a little bit and then see where that goes. You know, some people can take it well, some people don't. You know?
Exactly, right? So I think honestly, at this age, that is the
I do notice that as I grow older, it's a lot easier to do those kind of things. It's easy for me to like, hey, someone needs to volunteer to do something. I'm like, I'll do it. Easy. Or someone needs to like, you need someone to like go to represent the whatever to the group team, whatever. Do whatever, to like something silly on the stage. Do it.
Yeah, just do it. Or but you don't have to fight for it either, right?
Right.
Because when you're younger Wing Chun, you're like, I want to prove myself.
Yeah.
Right, I want to be up there. I want to do them.
Some people do it like that, and some people are like, "Oh, I'm not shy. I don't want to do that."
Yeah,
but now you get to age where it's like, it doesn't matter. It's whatever.
Yeah, it's like I can do it or not. Yeah, if it's better for someone else to do it because they want to do it, then they do it.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's another secret sauce to being a Wing Chun too. So, which is like you have to be kind of confident in who you are. Yeah. I guess secret sauce to anything. I guess stop saying secret sauce, right?
That sounds like something that's really good. But let's bring it back a little bit. Because we've been talking a while now about go into being in Hun Chung.
Yeah.
But like, so what is this podcast really? What's our goal for this podcast really?
Well, you tell me, because to me, I just want to get to know people.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. Right. I can share. We can obviously talk about finance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have some experience in real estate, but it's not like my primary thing in life.
Yeah.
Families.
Pharmacist.
Yeah.
Family and pharmacist.
Yeah. Family pharmacists, all the F's and PH. Right. So, what do you feel? What do you want to? Because you can share anything you want to share.
Right.
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 So. Because beginning story, really, you want to talk talk about finance.
I do want to talk about finance. And help share our experiences with everyone else, especially in Tingyi, especially Hun Chung, about that, right?
So are you able to do finance things while being in Hun Chung, have a full-time job?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, why not? Yeah. I
found it a little difficult. This man is a jack of all trades here. Yeah.
No, it is. And it's something that I'm learning over time too. Obviously, again, I'm not an expert. He's not an expert on any of these topics.
Yeah.
We just want to share our experience, what we've done, what we know. Hopefully that will help someone else, help any younger Hun Chungs now, and see where they can go with it in the long term. And
so how do you start out thinking about finance in the first place? I assume it's when you were reaching your 30s or 29.
Yeah, I mean, I was always, investing. I always looked into investing, even in my late 20s.
Yeah.
I wish I'd done it earlier, of course, but
of course we always do, right?
But I mean, when you first got a full-time job, maybe your company offers you a 401 or something. And then sure you sign up for it, but you have no idea what the heck that means, right?
Yeah.
You just leave. Sure, some companies contributing something in there. I'm just leaving it. I have no idea.
Some people don't even contribute at all.
Yeah.
Right. So.
And so, I mean, like those are some of the topics that I would like to cover in these podcasts later down the line. but yeah, and then when I started doing my own investments and my own stocks a little bit here and there, and I started to get more and more into it, and then seeing things about how you can earn more money about doing rental properties or things like dividend income.
I was a big fan of dividend income too. Big fan. Yeah, that's an easy rental property, right? That's an easy way out.
You know, side hustles and all stuff here. Like, but then there are also tons of quote unquote influencers out there. Talking about these money as well, finances.
Of course.
And
I mean, they got to make money somehow, right?
I understand. And you know, not all of them may be 100% accurate or maybe misleading. You know, I just want to help others to see that you know what might be right and what might be wrong, and what might be the good for them or not good for them. Basically.
So let's
and then of course incorporate. Of course, we're Jones here, and we do want to incorporate that into these podcasts
for sure. So when you had the meal with those two, just curious, what did you respond to them? I mean, because you're sitting down with them in a safe atmosphere, right? Because it's always tough to have these conversations.
I mean, at that point in time, I did give them like a broad outline of like some things, like, oh, you know, this is what I do now. I gave them a brief overview of like kind of what I do now. What's some of my investment strategies now. But and I also mentioned, hey, I wish I had done this when I was your age back then, right? And then that's when they told me, hey, you should let us know something. You should give us more of a detailed rundown sometime.
Okay.
Or something like that. So I don't something to that effect, right? And that's really.
What was the hot tip that you gave them back then? Just tell me.
No, I didn't.
I know it's not hot tip. I know. I'm just joking.
No, actually, I wish I had said this. Start early. Start investing. Start early.
Yeah. That's pretty much, honestly, it's a hot tip. Yeah.
It's well, we'll get.
There's a saying: youth is wasted on the young. Right.
We'll get more into it. We'll get more into the specifics later down. You know, I preferably like each of these podcasts, I like to go through a specific topic about finances. Like let's say one day we'll talk about real estate. One day we'll talk about retirement accounts, 401 IRAs. Another day we might talk about careers. Maybe we'll bring in a guest speaker. And we'll talk to
guest from Jones.
Guest from Jones for sure. Guest from Jones talking about their experience, whether it's about their career or whether it's about their finances, their investments, their strategies, you know.
I'm always surprised, especially this generation. I don't want to poo-poo the old generation, which I'm semi-part of. You know, this generation is very diverse in profession, right? That's lawyers, doctors.
We're not all just like nurses and
exactly,
and
right. So I think that any topic you want, you're going to be able to find a
I'm sure.
You know, who's willing to wear that comment and sit down and have a conversation about it, you know? So for me, I love to hear what people's thoughts are and the stuff they do and why they do it. You know, behavioral health, the way people act is very interesting. When it comes to finance, you know, I think they mention it, right? So by they, I mean the interweb, right? Which is behavior is mostly, it's going to get you there, right? You can sit around and do math all day. Right. But at the end of the day, it's your behavior. It's what you do over 10 years, 15 years, 20 years that make the change, you know. It's those habits that you built, right? And I think that's very important to build those habits, like you mentioned, very early.
Start early.
Very early. Do you think after that conversation that something stuck?
I think yes, something stuck, but will they do anything about it yet? No. Not until they know more information. And, you know, maybe they need to listen to more things like this and get some more advice or feedback on like this, like how we're talking. We'll be talking about investment stuff. Hopefully they'll take that and actually do something actionable about it rather than just say, oh, okay, cool, thanks, and then call it a day. You know, maybe we'll help them. Maybe we'll have a session where we'll help people start open an investment account, open a stock account.
For sure. Whatever it is. And Wing Chun definitely need to know this, right? We wish we just teach it during Tony, but obviously that's something we can't do, right? Right? Some of the stuff out there is very difficult to talk to, and I'll be honest, I had a concept that when I call you the other day, I had a concept I really want to pass on, and I could not find a way to do it. You know, because anytime when you talk about money, especially to your spouse. There's a lot of emotions involved, right? There's a decent amount of emotion and misunderstanding, misdirections, or things like that, or feeling of misdirection. And it's very tough to describe it, you know, in a way that no one gets offended. And that was with my wife. And you know,
maybe one day we'll bring in your wife and we'll talk.
No, she's gonna talk. Oh no,
you have to talk about how you guys do with finances in your relationship. You know,
something
like that.
Yeah. But do you want to just give a quick synopsis of your, because I want to interview you a little bit, you know, like you started working like a typical person. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. I know you were thinking about business at one point.
Sure. So I dabble around with a bunch of things. So obviously first, after college, I got my full-time job right after college. I've been working, to be honest, I've been working in the same company ever since.
Amazing. This guy.
10 years. Coming up on 11, coming up on 12 years, I think.
Yeah. 10 years.
But my company got bought out by another company, but it's still basically the same company.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right? The same thing. But throughout that time, I've also dabbled in some other stuff. Yeah. A while back, me and three other Hunchungs, we started a company to do basically IT consulting.
Oh, okay.
That didn't really pan out for us because we were all living in different areas of the country. Yeah. And the remote thing just didn't work for us at the time.
What did you learn from it?
I learned that it's very hard to start a company. It's not that easy.
It's not
trying
easy.
to get business and stuff. It's hard.
No, it's tough. It's tough.
But it's one of those things where you try and fail, and that's okay.
Yeah.
No. And then there was a time where I installed alarm systems and camera systems for people and people in businesses. Yeah. Did that mostly through word of mouth. That was actually a pretty good gig.
Really? I heard you doing it.
Yeah. It was actually a pretty good gig. Yeah. I did for a lot of people at our church and a couple of businesses too, like nail salons and some businesses. Yeah.
What happened to that?
I kind of got lost tracking with that.
It's because you were doing all the work.
Well, yes and no. I mean, I did also bring on another Hunchung to help me.
Oh, so he's trying to be in management now, huh?
I was actually paying someone to go out and install those things. Yeah. And I'll let them keep all the labor fee with it. I charge the customer. Yeah. Right. And I still make money on top of what I sold. Yeah. Right. Yeah. But then over time, because I wasn't really strict on my basically my communication with the people who we've done it for, the customers. Yeah. It's like they'll come back and be like, hey, can you come back and help me with this thing? I don't know how to do this and this.
Oh, there was no specific hey,
this is a one-time job.
Yeah. Like you can call me back in 30 days. Yeah, because you're starting out, you're word of mouth friends, right? It's like, hey, friend, come back, friend. Fix it for me, friend.
So a lot of them are like older Asian people, right? So
of course,
they didn't know how much tech about stuff. Yeah, it was hard to say no to them.
Exactly, and there's a dynamic there. The Asian,
and that's something else I learned too, right? Yeah, and so after a while, I kind of stopped doing that. But for the time, it was great, Yeah.
But most of your jobs were just going back and fixing things.
After a while,
which happens. Come on, it's technology, right? It happens, right?
Well, it's not even that. It's more like showing, some message came up on the app, and they're like, "Oh, what's this?" I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, it's nothing to worry about. It's fine. It's fine.
What's my password, right? It's like, it's like the password to the app or the password to your phone, right? So you should have charged them like a monthly fee or something.
That's how you should have done it. Yeah. And then
that's genius.
when I was working at my current job, my only job, my full-time job, also gave me stock options. Yeah. Cool. When I started, it was a smaller company, so they gave us stock options.
My ears perk up when I hear stock options, right?
And so the company did well, right? And so they were giving out stock options here and there. Over time, it built up, and that's how I really learned about stocks. Because I had just gotten out of college, I have no idea what stocks were. Really,
no, it's so crazy. Lack of education we have from school for sure.
Exactly. Well, that's another topic we'll get into later. And so all that stock money and all that stocks, I finally realized how taxes play a role in it, and how to sell them, how to buy them, stuff like that, and employee stock purchase plans, SPPs. So that gave me some knowledge, like basically a step in the door into investments in stocks, right?
Get a little taste of it. Yeah, right?
And it was good.
And most of us, I feel like, get a sense of stocks and stuff like that from work initially. Right, with that matching, you mentioned the matching the 401k and everything, and we just put in an index fund or something because me too. I started out and I was like 401k.
Like, what the heck is this?
I put it in, and then it took me like years to figure out. Oh, wait, these are just stocks. Yeah, this is not like I thought this was like pension retirement account. Like, wow,
401 is just a curated list of stocks that are chosen for you.
It's crazy how you can be like, oh, these are just stocks. Yeah. These are just index funds. And they're tax-free, and then
And so over time, I was able to buy my first house in 2017 when I was like around 28 years old. Yeah. And then I lived there for a few years. I sold it, and then I lived for like 4 years. I sold.
People know your age now, by the way. Yeah, they just did the math.
So I sold that house. That gave me some capital to do some more stuff.
Yeah.
I moved into this house.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the profit I got from selling the other house, I put into stocks.
Yeah.
And that's when I really got into doing more and more with it.
Yeah. And I bet you were doing individual stocks still, because that's what you're doing with.
Right. Yeah. And that I learned a lot from that. Doing individual stocks, doing index funds, doing whatever.
Yeah.
ETFs. There are ups and downs about both.
For sure.
And we'll talk about some of that later on.
Yeah, and how everyone thinks they were geniuses when they bought during COVID, right? Yeah. When it was all the way up. And then afterwards, like, wait a second, I'm not a genius, right? It does go down. Does. I just bought everything when it was low. Right. That's why it was going up. Yeah. No, I love to hear the business too. Yeah. Right. And I think that's one of the things that the younger you are, I think you should definitely do this, which is if you're going to do a business, the younger you are, you have more time than money. Yes. Right?
Yes.
I'm a little bit older. I'm not saying I'm wise or anything, but I'm older. So I have enough money to use so that I save time, right? But when you're younger, time is you have more time than money. Yeah. And to start a business, you always should have the mindset, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't have a business or anything, for sure. but I do a little real estate. But if you're gonna start a business, figure out a way to start with no money down, right? Yeah. If you put that kind of pressure on yourself, you will figure something out. You will use your brain to figure it out instead of just using money to fix every problem. Because you have the time. That's when you'll learn, right? And you have to say, if I need money, then I need money in. Yeah. Get money, and I can, whatever money I make, use that. Yeah. You'll be surprised. And that takes an initial, and pretty much that's what Joe Nguyen did, right? Well, I mean, he had a full-time job, but let's just say if he didn't, then he would have got money initially from all those people who did the cameras on, right? Security, not just cameras, right? Like he got money in, right? And then you use that money to buy more product, do whatever, right?
Build your inventory and
exactly. But if you use the money only the money that you got in, then you don't lose anything. Exactly. And even if the business doesn't go well, you will gain so much from it. Right?
What's funny with that was installing the alarm stuff. This is a super easy thing to do. Yeah. So if you sign up for Ring, you heard Ring Alarm?
Of course. Yeah. Right. Put a ring on it, right? Yeah.
Ring Alarm, if you have their subscription, they'll give you 10% off their products, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah. I know they have one of the cheapest subscription though. Yeah.
The price might have changed over the last couple of years because of inflation, but let's say you sign up for their Alarm Protect program, whatever, subscribe to it, and they'll give you 10% off the products. Nice. Right? So what you do is
you became the middleman. He's a warehouse now.
Basically, I just buy the stuff at the 10% discount. I resell it at the full price. Yeah. And then I charge labor fee.
That's pretty much it.
10%
genius.
Easy.
So anyone wants to do this, they just do this.
Yeah, I didn't even have to do anything. I didn't have to make any product. I just buy the product at the discount and resell it at the full price. Yeah, because you can say, hey, go on the website. You'll see it at the full price. That's the full price. They list on the website too.
That's crazy because when you think about it, that's such a good opportunity in the sense if you can speak somewhat, it goes back to learning how to speak Vietnamese, right? So if you can go back to, there's a very specific population that you are serving that needed help. Yes. And if you wanted to, you can do $10 a month, which is, in my mind, a very cheap thing to help out with these kind of stuff. And these kind of stuff it's not hard.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Yeah, because we know how to use a phone. Yeah. Right.
Even after a while, doing this, I'm like, let's say I'm installing an alarm system for someone's house, right? Yeah. It has to be a minimum size of a house to me to make it worth it. Because I was charging by the hour. Yeah. For the installation fee at least. Yeah. Right? So if a house only had one floor, it'll take me like maybe less than an hour. So it wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it, and you drive there. It takes time to drive there too.
And so if the house is like 2 stories or something, or they want it, if they bought a lot of products, then sure, I'll come out and do it. Yeah.
So you learn so much from it. It's crazy because we always think whenever we have a business idea, we always poo-poo it. Yeah. I don't know. That's probably not the right term, but we always say, hey, it's not going to work. Yeah. Let's just say I want to do the alarm thing. I was like, in my mind, I'd be like, wait, why would I do the alarm thing? I can do the alarm thing. I can easy. Yes. Well, it's like, why would I hire someone to do it for me? It's just pull the thing, stick the thing, sign up, pay the thing, you're done, right? I can do it, so why would I hire someone to do it? But you always forget that not everyone's
Yes.
So do the
Target.
product, especially the internet, and then find your population.
Yeah. And our Vietnamese church had a lot of that population.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it seem like we're trying to target.
Oh, no, absolutely.
But this population actually do need help.
Yeah,
right.
It was easy.
Do need help.
Right.
So especially with just like you mentioned, it's just ridiculous when you mentioned like they just don't know notification.
It was easy enough to like sign up for them, an account for them on using their email and stuff like that. Help them sign up. Sorry, not sign up for them. Help them sign up. And then just do all the stuff. It's super easy.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
So if you're a student, if you're a college student, you can do that.
Yeah, and there's a lot of these type of stuff. There's like window washing. There's pressure washing. That kind of thing, right? Yeah. That is pretty much it's something, in my opinion, it's something that if it's minimal, it doesn't take a lot to start, money to start, and that means that you put a lot of time on it, right? Yep. Pressure washer, like cleaning cars, like you just need probably $40 or whatever. Right. Ask them to use that water, right? And then pretty much you got it done. Yeah. And you get a bunch of your friends and make them do it, and then
it's familiar.
It's so easy for us to say. We haven't, but you have to put in the work.
You have to put in some work for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. But what else are you gonna do other day? Like if you're 18, it's like what? Like you can school, of course.
Yes, not if all you're doing, but like, you can find time to do things.
Yeah.
Instead of going out every other night, just spend some time, do some research, find a way to.
I'm really hoping when we bring in people to talk to, we don't bash them down because we sound like the typical, what would you do it? You have to, like we're putting on the spot, right? I really hope that it doesn't turn out like that and people don't want to come and talk to us anymore. For sure.
I think we're finding a good place now to wrap up here for this episode. This has been a good chat.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even know his last name. Now I do. But I do want to say this guy, he's the one that really introduced me to this brand, right? I'm not from here. He made me feel very Chilean, really made me feel very welcome. And I am very glad to be doing something like this with him. I really enjoy talking to him. It's always easy to talk to him. And one of the things, I don't want to compliment you too much, but I do. This is what I like, because me, like I told you, I'm either way. I'm extremely social or extremely antisocial. Right. I notice doing meetings, I'm very antisocial. But for him, I know this is something I love, which is there's something that needs to be done in the meeting. You just do it or assign someone to do and you move on. You don't spend time debating little things. You do and you move on, and that comes with wisdom and age. And saying, come on, let's just do it, move on. We don't have time for this baloney, right? And that's something I love about him, because you need something, he'll give people time to volunteer if they want to do it. But he's like, come on, let's just do it, come on. And you mentioned that earlier. That's why I love. That's why I love that kind of stuff.
And I really have to thank Junkin for this, for accepting this and encouraging me actually to do this, right? Because we talked about this last week, and he's like, okay, let's do it this Sunday. Let's get together. Let's record the session. Do this podcast.
Let's put our face out there and make fun. People judge us, right? I love being judged. I'm sure everybody loves being judged.
And if you guys have any questions, feel free to, once we start Instagram, you can, whatever the platform is, please email us. You have any questions, or
we love to hear that.
And hopefully we'll have more of these episodes out on a weekly basis.
Yeah, maybe you interview me next a little bit, and then we'll get someone else to come in.
Exactly.
I would love to know more about Living Chilean. That initially, in our own brand, I would love to hear their thoughts on things, because even though they're younger than us, obviously, I'm learning a lot from my own hipsy, so I'm going to learn a lot from them. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So
awesome.
All right, cool.
Cheers.
It's empty.